One's ready. One's ready. Go!
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the One's Ready podcast. This is your daily drop for 20 March 2025, brought to you by Cardomax. Visit cardomax.com. Use the promo code One's Ready to help you achieve your max. They've got hydration stuff. They've got, boost your caffeine levels, right? If you're feeling a little tired, get your caffeine from Cardomax. And then you also have the immune booster, which will help your immune system recover from any kind of traveling or anything like that. It's fantastic because they come in little packets like this, right? I'm going to move it over here because I'm going to put the display right here. But they come in little packets right this. You can see the energy intensifier, and then you can see the Hydromax. I am out of the immune booster because that stuff goes like hotcakes, especially with the amount that I'm traveling. So achieve your max by going over to cardomax.com. Use the promo code One's Ready. All right. If you're new here, this is the daily, excuse me, coughing in your ear for your first time here. This is your daily news that is curated by the Public Affairs Office in the military, that is pushed out to all Air Force and Space Force or Department of the Air Force commanders and chiefs every day. And it's a kind of a summary of it. So I have, rather than reading you news, I am just kind of going to kind of regurgitate the news and then give you my kind of take on it, or maybe some inside baseball, depending on which it is. I haven't reviewed any of these yet, but that's what it is. So here you go. For joint news, Pentagon restructuring plans. The DoD eyes consolidating combatant commands like AFRICOM with EUCOM, or AFRICOM being Africa Command, EUCOM being European Command, and NORTHCOM, North America, with SOUTHCOM, Southern Command, and then South America. Plus halting U.S. forces Japan's $1.1 billion upgrade, saving $330 million over 5 years. Secretary Pete Hegseth pushes these cuts to curb waste, but congressional leaders criticize the lack of coordination. So I actually kind of think this is a good thing, and the reason why is, like, for a long time, EUCOM actually, or European Command, actually did cover down on Africa Command. When Africa Command was not a thing, like there was no such thing, EUCOM covered down on Africa and things worked fine. When you kind of get things in under one command like that, it does make things a little bit easier, especially when you have cross flow of operations. Like operations in AFRICOM definitely affect EUCOM and vice versa. Same with CENTCOM and EUCOM, right? And AFRICOM. Like you talk about Central Command, which is, the Middle East, Africa, which is Africa, and Europe, which is Europe, or EUCOM, which is Europe. Dude, they all touch each other. Operations, funding, training, all that kind of stuff impact all there. It's so much cross flow. It would almost be easier to have it all under one command. So that's my 2 cents. I think it's probably a good thing, especially because CENTCOM gets real greedy with their billets for personnel. Like they're an absolute monster because we've been doing operations in the Middle East for freaking however long, and PACAF, or PACOM, the Pacific Command, struggles to get billets and personnel and funding, even though that is allegedly the next fight, right? Well, freaking give up some billets then, CENTCOM. All right, number 2, fighter plans briefed to Trump. Air Force and Navy leaders pitch future fighter plans to Trump, with General David Alvin briefing next generation air dominance on the 12th of March. General Alvin supports next generation air dominance and collaborative combat aircraft. Trying to do all these acronyms, testing to shape air combat decisions. We just announced the YQF. We've talked about it. That's their designation, YQF 42 and 44, I think. So testing this summer, it's going to be good. It's a good thing. It's just super expensive, right? Everything has a cost to it. And with cuts and a continuing resolution, like I don't know, it's going to set us back. Whether we decide to fund it, it's going to set something else. Something's got to get cut or something's got to go to help fund that. So I don't know what they're going to do. All right, Hegseth's fitness push. Secretary Pete Hegseth launched a review of fitness and grooming standards on March 12th, aiming for a fit, sharp force per his X post. He supports women in combat, but fears lowered standards targeting a decade of changes for review. We've already seen it there. Okay, so I'll caveat that we've already seen it. One is the women that have made it through any of the selections are absolute freaking beasts. There is no questioning that, right? On the other side of that is that we know that for some, right, and everybody knows who those some are, standards were definitely lowered or standards were adjusted accordingly or appropriately to fit a narrative from some general officers. So, like, again, I really don't care about women in combat. What I care is, can they do the job? Can they meet the same standards? Because the enemy and the environment and nature, they don't care that you're a woman, you're a dude. It doesn't matter. They just want, like, not they want, but you just got to be able to perform. And nature and an environment is unforgiving. And if you think the enemy is going to be forgiving and merciful towards you, you're wrong. All right, next one. Transgender ban is blocked. A judge blocked Trump's transgender service ban, citing the military's discriminatory. I'm not answering that. Discriminatory past in a 79-page ruling on Tuesday. Hegseth plans an appeal arguing readiness justifies the policy. We've already talked about that one for quite a few of these, so I'm just going to leave it as is because there's no new information on it. And whatever. Last thing you need is me commenting on some stupid shit like that. DEI content purge. DoD websites cut Holocaust, 9/11, and Medal of Honor content like Sergeant William Carney's story under Trump's anti-DEI orders, sparking backlash from groups like the ADL. Navajo Code Talkers pages will be restored after an AI error. Dude, so if you've paid attention to any of these, right, I keep saying that they either have been using Control Find to find these things, or they've been using AI, right? They are definitely not using Grok or ChatGPT because you can, unless they're messing the prompt up, right? If they're messing the prompt up, then hey, that's whatever. That's also on them. But if you use the right prompt, you can navigate through the Navajo Code, Tuskegee Airmen, Medal of Honor, 9/11, Holocaust. You can get, and AI will save all that. They're just, I guess, speeding through it. I don't know. I'm not in those. So, like, it's, what I can tell you is it is not malicious whatsoever. It's just trying to speed through things, trying to, make the job easier as possible, hence the AI. So whatever, it's all going to get restored anyway, which it should. We should still have Holocaust, 9/11, Medal of Honor, Tuskegee Airmen, Navajo Code Talkers, all that kind of stuff. So laser rockets versus Houthi drones. U.S. Air Force fighters used $35,000 to $40,000 AGR-20 laser-guided rockets to down Houthi drones, a cheaper alternative to the $500,000 to $1 million missiles. Per General David Alvin and CENTCOM. Alvin praised the cost-saving lethality on social media, backing Trump's ongoing strikes in Yemen. All right, I want to show you guys what these things look like because they're fucking badass. And they come. All right, let's just do this. Let's share real quick. Share screen. All right, these things. There's a couple different names for this. There's laser guided rockets, right? Okay, I'm just making sure. There's laser guided rockets. Then they come in a bunch of different things, right? Apaches, they're primarily a helicopter kind of rocket, but you can put them on other things. What's not, okay, there is F-16s here. So these things are awesome. You can see the pod they come in here. They're laser guided. They're super accurate. They're super cheap. And they're highly, highly capable. Phenomenal piece of weaponry. right? And I've used them a lot. And really, the biggest thing about like this in particular, right, is that these drones that they're shooting down are super cheap, and they could essentially bankrupt us, or not bankrupt us, but make it so cost ineffective that it just crushes us. Same with if we run through all of our really expensive missiles that take a long time to build, then we're going to run out. Whereas we have a ton of APKWS or these AGR-20s that, and we can just rifle the hell out of them, right? And we're just making more, like whatever. So I think if we can stick to these, which even though 35 to 40 grand, I'm still like, oh my God, but in the grand scheme of things, that is cheap. Or if we can get to the point where we can develop some tactics, techniques, and procedures to strafe them as well, that would also be an option, in my opinion. B-21 and NGAD, or NGAD stands for Next Generation Air Dominance, needs Stratcoms. General Cotton calls for 145 B-1s, not 100, while General David Alvin pushes a mix of NGAD and CCAs, the Collaborative Combat Aircraft, for future conflicts. Alvin seeks high-end penetrating capability to maintain air superiority per Tuesday's coverage. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I'll tell you right now, I think the whole CCA thing is cool. I don't know how we're actually going to employ it, though. I think if we're relying on an F-35 pilot to be able to not only maneuver his own jet, but also effectively fly these things too, I think it's too much. I mean, the humans that fly those things in any aircraft and stuff like that are pretty awesome and very capable human beings, and they will probably never tell you no, but like they are going to get swamped. I mean, just look at the remote piloted aircraft community in terms of, they got 3 screens up top, 3 screens down below. They've got Nipper, Sipper, a bunch of other types of phone lines coming through. They've got their radios, and there's Merc Chat and all that kind. They've just got all kinds of stuff, right? And it's sensory overload to them. And they figure out how to manage it, and they'll tell you that. They're like, yeah, I don't pay attention to that, or I shut that off, or I have this. And each one has their own, standard operating procedures to work through it. But it is overwhelming. Having sat in one of those seats during missions, it's incredible. And so having an F-35 pilot or other pilots up there flying around with these things, I think for now, maybe a bridge too far. I think buying 45 extra B-21s, which I'm telling you is an incredible aircraft, it might be the better purchase, in my opinion. NATO Arctic drills, Danish and Swedish jets intercepted 2 U.S. Air Force two U.S. Air Force B-52s from Minot Air Force Base during NATO's Tower Citadel exercise on Monday, testing reaction times to reinforce rapid combat power projection. So yeah, this is kind of stuff that we normally do, and it's that's how we test ourselves. It's how we test other nations, and we also test ourselves by going against each other. We have red and we have blue, and the red are the bad guys. We have usually dedicated red air just to play Russia, China, whatever. So it's a good thing. China and North Korea intel flights. RC-135s from Cadena's 82nd Reconnaissance Squadron gathered 81 terabytes of intel over 2,800 hours near China and North Korea, per Lieutenant Colonel John Casey. The 18th Wings, March 12th, release, called it a seeing eye of the Indo-PACOM per officials. 81 terabytes, dude? That's a fuck ton of information. Oh, man. I got to imagine that's a whole bunch of signal intelligence, imagery, GeoInt, all that kind of stuff. So that's a lot of data. Whew. All right. Looks like some sad news here. Tuskegee Airman farewell. Retired Lieutenant Colonel Shelton, call sign Ivan Ware, a Tuskegee Airman who died at 101, was buried with full honors at Arlington on Wednesday. Ware, who supplied Normandy troops in 1944, will be honored March 27th at the Air Force Memorial. Well, hats off to you, sir. Thanks for doing what you did. And that is, man, that's badass. Next, DEI compliance checks. Department of the Air Force teams will review 9 bases through March 28th to enforce Trump's anti-DEI orders, auditing documents and classrooms per officials. The task force ensures compliance with executive directives. Yeah, good. Go through everything. Just go through meticulously. Don't just make sweeping things and then you end up leaving Tuskegee Airmen out or something like that, you know? Let's see. Base traffic woes. Traffic jams at bases like Wright-Patterson and Hurlburt Field. Oh my God, dude. If anybody has been to Fort Walton Beach or Hurlburt Field, you know that the traffic is insane there. Not only to get on base, but to also get off base at the end of the day. Highway 98 is a nightmare. Nightmare, bro. I'm living in a nightmare, brother. Worsened by telework cuts. Yeah, so even more people are coming in now. And they pose readiness risk per officials like Colonel Patrick P. Diddy. He's a good dude, man. Good freaking dude. So the bases addresses gate hours and seek solutions with DRIG calling, Highway 98 delays a mission threat. Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, Nellis isn't actually that bad when it comes to it. The part that bugs me, and I've never understood this, so if there's any defenders out there that can please explain this to me. Yeah. You know when traffic gets busy out there. You know the times where everybody's coming into work. And you keep one gate open, or like say there's a dual entrance, right? At one gate. There's 2 lanes. You keep one lane open and one lane blocked until traffic becomes a problem. Instead of, if you know, 15 minutes before things start getting crazy, that's when you go open up that second lane. And then you just man it, and then a traffic backup never occurs, or it minimizes. It helps you, it helps everybody else that's trying to get on the base instead of just being in a line. And then when you finally get up there, you see that there's only one lane open. Like, I get it, you're undermanned, so is everybody else. But if you already know the times, and you can't tell me you're undermanned at a point that, because all what happens is that somebody who's in the warming hut, all they do is they go, all right, they put their stuff on and they come out and they open up another lane. It's like, dude, you already know what's coming. Just get out there preemptively and do it. I don't understand it. So if you're a defender, or if you're a commander or a chief or a defender supervisor, like, dude, in the comments, let me know. Like, I just don't understand it. All right, Maxwell contract confusion. Maxwell Air Force Base officials were unaware of Doge's claim it canceled a $465,000 landscape contract, calling it news to them. Doge also claimed to shutter a mobile wage office. But District Director Kenneth Stripley denies knowledge of terminations. I don't know. Is that the going rate for a landscape contract for a base? That's probably right. I know that people will see that number and go like, that's insane. But when you think about how large a base is and the groundskeeper, and this is not keeping the golf course nice or anything like that, or keeping the landscape nice. This is just keeping it serviceable, right? They're not out there laying new sod or anything like that, but they're repairing sprinkler systems. They're making sure things look somewhat presentable, not super presentable, because that means the sergeant major wouldn't have to get people out there painting their rock screen or painting the dead grass green. But I'd be willing to bet that $465K annually is probably about accurate. I don't know though. I'm not in the landscaping business. So Space Force news. AI strategy unveiled. The Space Force's FY25 plan, fiscal year 25 plan, meaning FY25 is September or 1 October 2024 through 30 September 2025. That's FY25. Prioritizes artificial intelligence integration and literacy for Guardians per Colonel Nathan Ivan. It aims to leverage secure data for space superiority, aligning with the SecDef's AI focus on China. Yeah. I mean, I can't speak from a classified network point of view, but if you're not using AI to help you save time or help you be better on the unclassified network side of the house, like, man, what are you doing? My last 3 performance reports or performance briefs that are official Air Force documentation were all written by AI. All I did was plug in the prompt, plug in the parameters, plug in the data, and it wrote it for me. Minor tweaks on the back end. So do work smarter, not harder. All right, what else? Crew 9 returns. It was great to see, great to see the dolphins swimming all around them. So welcome back home to both of you. That's exciting, man. If you're not excited about the space race that we're losing, man, I don't know what to tell you. Space is fascinating, and the things that we're doing out there are incredible. So hats off to the Space Force. Hats off to SpaceX, NASA. Good luck on your nomination, Jarek Isaacman. Like, good on him. All right, next one. Ukraine ceasefire talks. Zelensky backs Trump's limited ceasefire with Putin. Halting energy strikes while Trump calls their Wednesday talk very good. Critics like somebody who doesn't matter warn Putin gave little as a drone hit a Ukrainian hospital post-call per Kremlin. Yeah. Hey, guess what, assholes? Those things take time to, like, all that stuff was probably in their works. And you think a phone call, yeah, it's got to trickle down. That communication takes a lot of time. Like, I don't understand. Like, the U.S. has done the same thing. And not out of malice either. It's just like, oh shit, okay, we're getting the word now. All right, well, we'll halt all attacks now. Continuing resolution funding clash. GOP appropriators McConnell and Calvert sent Hegseth FY25 continuing resolution funding tables, cutting the B-21 to KC-46 and the Space Force programs by millions. They aim to guide DoD spending, offering staff to clarify intent in their letter. Okay. 3 things that we have specifically talked about recently, whether it's been in daily drops or whether it's been with General Deptula or Kid Petit, is B1 or B-21s, KC-46, and the Space Force. Like, Space Force is only 3% of the DoD's budget, which is insane because we're putting stuff up in space and we are losing the space race. And if we don't double down, triple down on it, we are going to be so far behind that playing catch up, we'll just never be able to get there. And like I've said before, the continuing resolution hinders the military. It's not a and again, I totally acknowledge, like, I wish that we hadn't done it and we had just shut it down to help prove a point and help kind of almost have a reset. But to limp dick us along and cutting B-21, KC-46, and Space Force by millions, like, that's insane to me. Man. All right, the UK on the US drawdown. UK Defense Minister Luke Pollard reaffirms the US alliance despite reports of reduced US exercise participation in Europe. The EU plans $800 billion in military spending as nations brace for less US involvement, per Swedish media. I mean, that makes sense if you go back to what I was just talking about in terms of the continuing resolution. Like, that is a problem, right? And that impacts this as well. And plus, if you're adding in the, all the Doge stuff and everything like that, which again, I'm a fan of, there's going to be, less involvement in that kind of stuff. All right. What else? Oh, that's it. Okay, cool. Well, everybody, I do appreciate it. Hopefully you like the new format that's kind of real brief. I'm trying to keep it in 30 minutes or less. Like I had talked about before, cardomax.com, achieve your max, use the promo code ONESREADY to get yourself a discount. You're supporting a small business filled with veterans and prior Navy SEALs, former Navy SEALs. They're always former Navy SEALs. So this is Jared Petrus, former combat controller, signing off. Later.